Welcome back, folks. This is topic 5, all about problem solving. So dealing with those word problems and some strategies that we can use to help us deal with them. Now, the picture that you draw or the picture you're given is going to be the most important thing you're going to have to use to help. Okay, if you don't know how to set up the triangle, how to draw those pictures, that's what this video is for. And hopefully with practice it does get better. So that first example says a 56-meter wire, which is supporting a TV tower that is 45 meters tall, joins the top of the tower to an anchor point on the ground. What is the angle theta to the nearest degree that the wire makes with the ground? So wire and ground is the thing that I need. Now conveniently the picture is given to me and I am looking for angle theta. So the first step is always going to be to label that triangle. So that 56 meters has to be the hypotenuse, and the 45 is my opposite. Now there's only one ratio that deals with opposite and hypotenuse, and it is the sine ratio. So once we have it, we will fill in everything that we know. So we do not know what the angle is. That is our job to find it. The opposite is 45. The hypotenuse is 56. And from our last video, we know that in order to find an angle, we are going to use the inverse of whatever function it is we've chosen. So we're going to use the inverse of sine. Okay, our fraction 45 over 56 is going to go inside. Our calculators are in degree mode only for this. And our angle is going to be 53 degrees. And there is that first one all done. Example 2, a ladder resting on the side of a building forms an angle of 44 degrees with the ground. If the ladder is touching the building at a height of 8 meters from the ground, how long is the ladder to the nearest tenth? Now, I'm asked for how long the ladder is. That's a side. Okay, I'm not asked for an angle. I'm literally asked for a length. Okay, now my picture doesn't have any of that information on it, so we have to make sure we can label it. So the ladder resting on the building forms an angle of 44 degrees with the ground. There's only one place that angle can go. Now it cannot go here against the building because that's not where it's telling me. It has to be 44 degrees with the ground, okay, and the ground being the bottom. Okay, my right angle is with the building and the ground. And the ladder is touching the building at a height of 8 meters from the ground. So this height is 8 meters. And I'm asked for how long the ladder is. See, so according to that angle of 44 degrees, this is my hypotenuse, and 8 is my opposite. Once again, the same ratio as the first example. We're going to be looking at the sine ratio. Okay, so the sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of 44 degrees is equal to the opposite, which is 8 over x. I'm actually going to move this over to here. Okay, this time a little bit easier to work with. I know what the angle is, and the sine of a number is just another number, so I can divide it by 1, and I can do my cross multiply divide. Lets me draw my happy little fish. So we're going to go 8 multiplied by 1 and divide it by the sine of 44 degrees. Again, as long as we're in degree mode, we are going to get 11.5, making sure we have units, 11.5 meters. And we should be okay, yes. Yeah. Alrighty. Third one, no picture this time, so we're going to have to draw it. So a tree is 5.9 meters high, casts a shadow along the ground. The sun's rays make an angle of 60 degrees with the ground. How long is the shadow of the tree to the nearest tenth? So first things first, we need a tree. Okay, there's a tree. It casts a shadow along the ground. Okay, so if my shadow is down there, that means the sun has to be up here and its rays are shining out. Okay, so it's going to hit the tree, create that shadow on the ground. Now the sun's rays make an angle of 60 degrees with the ground. Okay, so there's the sun's rays. Now my 60 degrees hit the ground. So it has to be there, it can't be with the tree. Now I know how tall the tree is. I'm told that important piece of information from the question, and the tree is 5.9 meters tall. Here's my right angle. I'm looking for how long the shadow is. So once I've got my triangle, I know that I have an opposite and we have an adjacent. I don't have a hypotenuse, so I'm not even going to label it. So the only ratio that deals with opposite and adjacent is tangent. So the tangent of theta is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Fill in everything you know. So the tangent of 60 degrees is equal to 5.9 over x. And again, I can divide by 1. I can do my cross multiply divide. So 5.9 divided by the tangent of 60. And that tree's shadow to the nearest tenth is 3.4 meters. Okay, so there we go. Picture drawn and to everything. So the picture really, really helps deciding what goes where and which ratio I'm using. Okay, there's a couple more that we're going to look at. I believe there's only 2. Now I do need to know a couple of terms. So angle of elevation and angle of depression. So the angle of elevation is the angle formed between the horizontal, so a horizontal straight line, and the line of sight when looking upwards. So think about looking straight across at the wall, whatever is in the room you're in, and look up at the lights. The fact that you're tilting your head upwards means you're tilting it up at a certain angle, and that angle is going to be the angle of elevation. Okay, the angle of depression is exactly the opposite. So it's the angle formed between the horizontal and the line of sight when you're looking downwards. So again, look out at that wall and then look down at your feet. Since you're tilting your head downwards, that's going to be what's called the angle of depression. And there's a couple pictures down below that help illustrate those 2 definitions. So example 4 says, a girl is flying a kite. There is a boy standing 12.5 meters away from her and directly under the kite. She has used 33 meters of string. What is the angle of elevation to the nearest degree that the string is making with the girl flying the kite? So we're given a picture, we can label some information. So the boy is 12.5 meters away. She's used 33 meters of string, and we're looking for angle theta, the angle that the string is making with the girl. All right, so if we label this triangle, I've got a hypotenuse, I've got an adjacent. We're using cosine, so the cosine of theta is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Fill in everything. Cosine theta is equal to 12.5 divided by 33. Since I'm looking for an angle, we're going to use the inverse cosine. So 12.5 over 33. Okay, so our angle is going to work out to be 68 degrees. Okay, so 68 degrees is that angle we're looking for. Example 5, an air traffic controller is standing in a tower looking down at an airplane on the runway. If he is 18 meters above the ground and the airplane is 68 meters from the base of the tower, what is the angle of depression to the nearest degree that the controller is looking down at the plane? Now, the way that the question's worded, they tell me some information that really isn't on the picture. So this person in that building is 18 meters above the ground. Okay, and the airplane is 68 meters from the base of the building. Now, the shape we've just drawn is a rectangle, which means the opposite sides are the same length. So I know that this is now 18 meters, and the top part is also 68 meters. The angle of depression, then, that the controller is looking down at the plane has to be angle theta. Okay, so that person looking down at the plane, angle of depression. Now, if we label the right angle triangle, according to that angle of theta, 18 is my opposite, 68 is the adjacent. I do not have a hypotenuse and I don't need it. Okay, so if I have opposite and adjacent, we're going to use the tangent ratio of theta is opposite over adjacent. We're going to fill in everything. So again, I don't know an angle, but I know the opposite's 18. I know the adjacent's 68, which means we're using the inverse of tangent, 18 over 68. Okay, so second tangent, 18 over 68. And the angle that they're looking down with is 15 degrees. Okay, so there are some word problems for you. Down below, again, some practice ones. So I'm going to scroll real slowly so you can pause it and try these ones out on your own. And I think there's only 5, and you'll get the answers again just like in previous videos. I think the answers are here. Yep, and they are. Okay, so there's 7 problems along with the answers. In the next video, we'll look at a couple more, and that will conclude our unit on trigonometry. So come back for that last video.